We had broken through the fortifications of the Abraxas spaceport. The heretics retreated into the dense urban high-rises. Each hab block was riddled with traitors firing from every window. Ambushes and tripwires were everywhere. Despite these insidious tactics, it was only a matter of time. Now that we had footholds in the city, reinforcements could easily be deployed. It didn't matter how many traitorous maggots riddled the corpse of this spaceport. They would be cleansed from this place. With flamer reinforcements, we were clearing the hab blocks room by room at a remarkable pace. There's nothing quite like the Emperor's cleansing fire to invigorate the fighting spirit of men and strike fear into the hearts of the enemy. My spirit may be soaring, but my body will likely be unable to continue the fight once the combat stims wear off. It shouldn't matter. By the time they wear off, what's left of my regiment will have rotated off the front. Even Kriegers can't fight day and night without impacting our combat effectiveness. But this fight is not over yet, and it is not yet time to rest. We are taking another hab block. It's like all of the others. An enormous gray thing that vanishes into the layer of smog that hangs over the hive. We are joined by new reinforcements this time. The Salvar chem dogs. If they could see my face, it would be twisted in contempt. A penal legion of cutthroats and murderers. It was no surprise that they did not participate in the initial assault. They are notoriously poor soldiers on the open battlefield. They're all hive ganger scum, who only care about what they can scrounge and loot. Suppose they do have their uses. They are urban warfare specialists, and they do not hesitate to use the most underhanded means to achieve their goals. I would say that I respected their tenacity, but such tenacity was mostly achieved by the chemical cocktail of stims that are pumped into them via their rebreathers. To my mind, these beasts were only a step above the heretics we were purging.
Mind if we join a party, Skullboys? Ain't you lot died for the Emperor yet?
We say nothing, and we fight as if the vermin aren't even there. Let them jabber on. We had our duty, and they had nothing but their precious loot. We fought on, room by room. Sometimes we would position snipers to take out enemies in nearby structures, grenades and flamers to clear the rooms, bayonets and las pistols to send the survivors to their dark gods. During this fighting, I gained a modicum of respect for the criminals. They showed no sign of cowardice, and they were wildly under-equipped. Their desperate need to steal everything became clear. One of my men passed by a window and was struck in the head by a lucky las blast. It bored a hole through his helmet, and the corporal left this world to enter the Emperor's light. We recovered his weapon, his grenades, and other valuable pieces of equipment. The chem dogs didn't dare pick through his corpse while we were standing there. We made sure his body was taken away. After, one of the criminals grabbed the damaged helmet that had been left behind and put it on his head.
Waste not, what not, eh, Skullboy?
I was about to object. I had no desire for a chem dog to use our equipment. But there was something so sad, so pathetic about this man that had been given the least scraps of the Imperium and told to fight, that he was willing to use a broken helmet because he had nothing else. I let it slide. The next room was the same. We could hear movement inside. We throw our grenades. We hear the explosion. The flamer was next. As the guardsmen stepped forward to finish off any heretics, an enormous gauntleted hand seized the nozzle and pulled the guardsman along with his entire rig inside the room. I charged forward with my men as fast as I could, only to see the poor man ripped in half before me. A figure stood before me, covered in blood and gore. It wore ancient Baroque armor that had been marred with blasphemous runes and sigils. Huge horns adorned the helmet of this power-armored monstrosity. He towered over us, standing nearly 8 feet tall, clad in crimson, with the accursed 8-pointed star on his pauldron, declaring some dark allegiance. Before we could even fire, he was on us. I didn't even see his chainsword before he had sliced through the man on my right. I instinctively brought my arms up to protect myself. Thank the Emperor I couldn't feel the pain, but I could feel a weight leave me as my remaining biological arm fell to the ground. My augmetic arm was what saved me from dying instantly. The force of metal slamming against metal produced enough force to throw me back against the wall. The rest was a blur. I could hear Laz fire. I could hear the roar of his chainsword. I could hear screams. When I opened my eyes, the thing was standing over me.
A commander. How lovely.
I tried to move my remaining arm, but the augmetic was immediately crushed beneath the creature's ceramite-shod boots. The beast was already on top of me. He hauled me from the ground, my feet dangling in the air. I swung my legs at him feebly, trying to do anything with my last breath. This was it. I would finally die at the hands of this monster, and it would finally be over. The traitor Marine grabbed me roughly around the waist and twisted until there was a loud snap. My legs stopped moving. I couldn't feel pain because of my stims, but my legs no longer obeyed my commands.
I've fought your kind many times before, guardsmen. You have been fighting for 1,500 years to redeem yourselves in the ungrateful eyes of your corpse emperor. I know that your only life's wish is to die in his name. Unfortunately for you, I have no intention of letting you go so easily. You believe that your will is iron, but I will show you that your flesh is weak. When we remove the right parts of your brain, when you are exposed to the raw power of the dark gods, when you stare into the raw stuff of the warp, you will see the truth, and you will curse the Emperor's name. With enough time, you will break.
Oh, shut your rotten pie hole, you sodden raspberry! Everything had been so blurry. My head was swimming. My body was barely holding on to life. But suddenly, everything slowed to a crawl. I could see every moment perfectly. I could see the chem dog. I could see the trail of blood he left as he crawled towards his goal. I could see the frag grenade he pulled from the dead Krieger. I could see that there was no way he would reach the traitor Astartes. But there he was, pulling the pin, right next to the Flamer's Prometheum tanks. See you where now, piss sack. I lived my life with one purpose in mind. I would fight the wars of the Emperor with every ounce of strength I had. I would die for him, and the sins of my forefathers would be lifted from my shoulders. Was it enough? I said I would die in this war. I said that this offensive would be the end of my 10 years of service. Let it not be said that I am a liar. Let it only be said that I did my duty. By the Emperor, was it enough?